This is the Analysing Anfield podcast on the Blood Red channel, bringing you the best tactical and statistical analysis of Liverpool FC.
Hello everybody and welcome to this week's episode of Analysing Anfield. My name's Josh Williams and I'm joined by my colleague David Hughes. How are you, mate?
I'm very good, thank you, Josh.
It's hard to go with an alternative little introduction to the show there compared to usual. Just mix things up a little bit. But we've got a bit of a different show this week. So we've got a bit of a different show this week because we have basically a lack of talking points and we feel as though we're maybe doing Q&As a little bit too often, so we're trying to avoid those for a little while. So we're going to address Southampton. We're going to delve a little bit into a topic of Liverpool's season that may be drifting under the radar, and we're going to have a little chat about the whole Player of the Year talk, debate, look into the numbers and things like that. So possibly a bit of a shorter show this week, but you know, we'll see how we go. But Southampton, Dave, you was there, weren't you?
Yeah.
What do you think? What did we predict firstly? I can't even remember. I think we predicted quite tight actually.
Did we?
Something like a 2-1.
Yeah, because we did speak quite highly of Southampton, and we saw glimpses of it, I think, at Anfield.
Yeah, for the first half certainly.
Yeah, why they considered a good side. Yeah, it felt very strange. The cliche line, if game of two halves. I thought Liverpool were, by their lofty standards, were quite sloppy in that first half. And
do you think that was enforced by the opponents though, or just
no? I thought by their own standards, they let them drop. You know, by Liverpool standards, I thought they just weren't really there. There seems to be a lot of little misplaced passes at the back, which you never associate with Liverpool, really.
Yeah.
The likes of Gomez and stuff, misplacing headers, and it gave Southampton at least a sniff of goal. But that being said, I think the narrative maybe got a little bit exaggerated about how dominant or how in the game Southampton were, because I still felt Liverpool were on the whole still in control up until half time and thereafter. Yeah,
so did I. I think you're spot on with the whole game of two halves thing. Up until 45 minutes in, actually, just before the goal, the expected goals was separated by about 0.6, which isn't much considering it was at Anfield. It's Liverpool. Liverpool had an XG of around 1. Southampton had an XG of around 0.4. I think they did actually take as many as about 10 shots in the first half. I actually tweeted it at the time because I haven't actually went back and checked actually, but I can't really remember the last time Liverpool faced 10 shots in the first half of a match at Anfield.
I do remember, I do remember looking at the data at half time, because obviously one of my jobs is to collect it, and I couldn't remember the side matching Liverpool on a corner count. I know that a corner count's really basic, but it does tend
territory, isn't it?
Yeah, I was about to say that. It tends to tell you where teams are being territory-wise, and it tends to give you a decent indication of how a game's panning out. And it was 6v6 at half time.
Yeah, I mean, the caveat with that, Southampton taking so many shots, is that a lot of them, which seems to be a recurring theme, were quite unlikely, I'd say. I think a lot of them were from distance, with values of around maybe, I don't know, 0.5, not 0.5, 0.05.
Yeah, it was an accumulation of low quality shots, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, and obviously we know with Alisson between the sticks, you're probably unlikely to find a net. At one point I can't remember if it was in the first half or not, but one of the Southampton players volleyed a shot in the penalty box and he caught it.
Oh yeah, I do remember it.
It was a high powered shot and he just caught it out of mid-air and that was it. But the expected goals for the full game, in the region of about 2.9 for Liverpool and 1 for Southampton, so you're looking at about a 3-1 win there. Liverpool's XG seemed to double in the second half compared to the first half. And as I said, Southampton took a good deal of shots. They actually outshot Liverpool overall, 17 shots to 16. But the difference being 4 of those were on target for Liverpool, 9. So
I don't actually think one of Southampton's shots exceeded 0.1 in terms of an XG score.
Well, there was a chance that I suppose you could deem as a one-on-one, Danny Ings with Alisson, but for some reason that seems to be valued quite low. And can you remember it?
No,
it was literally a one-on-one. I think it was. Can't remember if it was blocked or not, but it was a high chance, and I think it might have been blocked actually because I think it was going in. I think a mistake happened at the back, but it's worth getting that up now and having a little look at it.
So that was
on the topic of Danny Ings, though. We might as well stay on him while you're getting the clip up. We mentioned last week that he was obviously a penalty box threat, a bit of a poacher, and he actually managed to take 4 shots inside the penalty box against Liverpool. Which
was this the one? Sorry to interrupt.
Go on.
Where he's running into the box now. He bypasses Gomez.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's a high quality chance. That
it is, but if you look at the which
maybe
seems to be the theme,
foot or something.
Yeah, and look how many. If you think at the time, which sums Liverpool up really, there's 2 central defenders between the goal and him really.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you know Danny Ings has the 4th best conversion rate in the Premier League?
It doesn't really surprise me. Yeah, because he feels like he takes his chances.
Yeah, he's been so good this season. Yeah,
just on that has actually got an XG of 0.1, which means that it's scored 1 in 10 attempts, 10% of the time. So I'd value it personally a little bit higher than that, I think.
Yeah.
But who knows? But yeah, 4 shots in the penalty box for Danny Ings. I think he showed up as the type of poacher that we painted him out to be to be honest, because I don't think many players do that at all at Anfield, especially 4 shots inside the penalty area.
No, I thought he played fairly well on the day actually. I think Anfield was quite happy to see him go off in the second half. It's just nice to see him perform so well. Obviously, we're recording on Thursday. He scored a really good goal last night against Tottenham. He's become somewhat of a lethal finisher, and Liverpool did well to not fall to that particular sword, I guess. The term I'm looking for.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. Yeah, we mentioned shots on target there. For Alisson, that is now 46 shots on target faced this season in the Premier League. 40 of them saved. So that's just ridiculous. Really.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's crazy. It's unbelievable.
So he's got a save percentage, that means, of 87%. So 87% of the shots he faces on target, he saves. The next best is Dean Henderson on 76%, and I didn't actually have a look into Jordan Pickford, Dave.
There's no need, mate. Last I checked, he was save around a sample 24 keepers. He was around 21st. So he's
Pickford.
Yeah. So he's right down there, mate.
I mean, from an Everton perspective, how does it feel to look at a keeper like Alisson with a goalkeeper in Jonas, who's maybe a little bit unreliable and that sort of thing? Because we obviously suffered from it as Liverpool fans for a number of years with the likes of Simon Mignolet and then Karius for a little bit.
Yeah, well, we talked about it earlier, didn't we, on another show? It's there's moments in the game where it's virtually impossible to restrict a side to not create any sort of chances on your goal. But for Liverpool right now, with Alisson in goal, they have to be of a high quality and they have to give him basically little chance of saving them. The Jimenez goal comes to mind against Wolves, where it was just a well-worked goal and it was he could have done. But Pickford on the weekend conceded a goal of an XG of about 0.3, which is a good chance, but I'd always back Alisson in those situations every time, whereas someone like Pickford, you just don't. And I think that can be decisive in games, especially with Liverpool. I'm looking now, and I think the average of just over maybe 2 shots on target faced per game, maybe a little bit more. But you really need those moments for the keeper to be the decisive factor in not conceding, don't you? And he is simply, for me, the best goalkeeper in the world at the moment.
Yeah, same. He's obviously a ridiculous goalkeeper. I haven't given you time to prepare for this one, but out of interest, do you think that if Adrian would still be in goal and Liverpool would have had no minutes of Alisson this season, do you think would still be unbeaten?
I don't actually.
You don't?
No, and I actually wrote a complimentary piece about Adrian this week, so I'm not. It's not necessarily a slant on him, but from the data I've looked at and so on, I think Adrian is a average, maybe slightly above average goalkeeper, but I think Alisson is elite. Simple as that, and keepers tend to be decisive in results, because it's such a low scoring sport. The difference between conceding an extra 5 or 6 goals over the course of a season does tend to impact results and points return, and for that reason, I think Liverpool would have struggled to maintain that being unbeaten, especially because there's been some games that have been in the balance, quite tight margins.
Yeah.
What's your opinion?
No, I think I am, without any research on this, because obviously this is just games with me now, really. I am inclined to agree. I think if you think of the teams that have had extended periods unbeaten, like Chelsea under Mourinho and Arsenal under Wenger, and each of those teams have had like a real top quality keeper, like Petr Cech in his day, and I think Jens Lehmann was the Invincibles keeper at that time, wasn't he?
Most likely, if it wasn't the back end. No, yeah, it will be. I was going to say back end of Seaman, but
I think any United
decades missed up there.
Any unbeaten ones for United, obviously they've had Van der Sar in goal, they've had Schmeichel in goal, so I do think it's massive, and I think that the average keeper maybe by now would have let a little bit of something slip every now and then, but Alisson just doesn't seem to. Just a little bit more on the whole shot on target thing. Faced Manchester City have now faced 2 more shots on target than the whole of last season.
Oh really?
Yeah, with 13 games to play, which is quite mad.
Yeah, they've had. I
was going to tweet that, but it didn't. That'd probably bang, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, you know what, mate? You probably missed the trick there, actually.
Yeah.
You know what I will say? It's not that surprising, though, are they? Because City do look just poor, really, and by their lofty standards, they don't look like an elite side defensively. They don't look a patch on Liverpool. So, yeah, it doesn't really surprise me. Although that is a fall from grace, that. With 13 games still to go. Was it right in saying that Liverpool faced just over 2 shots on target per 90 roughly?
Yeah, I think so. I've just done the maths then, actually.
So as I said, Alisson's role in that is pivotal. No, 2.8.
2.8, yeah. That's ridiculous, really, when you think about it.
So he might only be... So he can spend a lot of the time perhaps not doing that much, but when he's called upon, it shows that he's got the concentration levels to switch on and pull off big saves.
Yeah. Obviously Liverpool scored 4 goals. By the way, out of interest, we obviously painted it as a tight match beforehand.
Yeah.
Did it feel tight? Because for me, for large periods at least it did. I don't think it was a steamrolling thing.
It did, yeah.
Like that, where we just demolished them.
Yeah, it did. And remember months ago we talked about the Leicester game at home? And I said, I know we disagreed on that, but it had Liverpool heavy, dominant, because obviously that a much higher XG score and things. But that game to me still felt in the balance. And this is another example where if you look at purely the XG numbers alone, it looked like it was a huge control and win by Liverpool. But I do agree. I think game state plays a part, and it did feel in the balance for a long period until the goals started coming in the second half. Yeah,
it felt to me like we were facing a well-drilled team, a team that are going to cause many teams problems, but obviously Liverpool are just on a different level when you want to be.
Yeah, it did feel like Liverpool maybe in third gear for that whole first half, that's what I will say. And I wouldn't even say they went full throttle, I'd say they just went up again in the second half and started becoming more clinical.
Yeah, obviously we scored 4 goals, was it?
Yeah, 4
goals, yeah. We're going to pick out one of them because it's particularly relevant to what I've wrote about today, actually. Liverpool's first goal on the day, Alexander-Arnold Chamberlain from outside the box. I I actually had a look into Liverpool's shooting from outside the box this week. 2 years ago, Liverpool shot 251 times from outside the box. 1 year later, 206 times from outside the box. And we went from, let's have a look, we went from 40% of our shots being from outside the box to 37%. This season, obviously the season hasn't finished yet, but we've currently shot 104 times from outside the penalty area. That means we've dropped from 37% to 28%. That's a noticeable drop of, fair amount of 9% that. Obviously the season isn't over yet. But Liverpool, obviously renowned for using data behind the scenes and allowing us to shape decision making and things like that. And I think it's fairly obvious to say that Jurgen Klopp will be aware of shot locations, won't he? He'll be aware of expected goals and things like that at the very least. And I think it's clear that with time, he's almost implementing behind the scenes, just gradually year on year, refining Liverpool's shot locations basically to the point where now at the minute we look optimal. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, obviously low shots from distance tends to have a low success rate, which is why you on the whole, I mean, there's a place for them, don't get me wrong, but on the whole you want to avoid excessively shooting from distance. I also think it's probably worth pointing out that as Liverpool have got a much better side, they are better at creating chances and carving teams open, meaning they can work the ball closer to the goal. Sometimes shots from distance for me can be a little bit of a frustration of not being able to break through a defensive setup, resulting in pot shots that don't tend to.
Well, it's funny you should say that because one of the teams I used to compare was Manchester United.
I was just about to say, let me guess it, mate. Let me guess it, but I knew it would be United because.
So they have shot 173 times so far this season from outside the area, which is the most in the league, and that accounts for 48% of their total shot count, obviously compared to Liverpool's 28%. So one team uses data and one team doesn't. That's kind of how I perceive that, really.
Yeah, and obviously that fits in with the theme of United having big struggles all season about breaking down sides who sit deeper. They haven't got the personnel to do it, and that's why they've tended to do really well in fixtures against sides who come at them and leave loads of spaces where they can counter-attack. But when the emphasis is on them to carve open chances, they don't, and it tends to lead to what you just highlighted there, kind of shots from distance and shots of a low quality, and it's why they're where they are, really, compared to Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting. Just for a little bit more context, I mean, you can read the piece. It's my Twitter's @distance covered, and it should be near the top. I've shared it today. We're recording on Thursday today, so read the piece if you want to read it. Liverpool's XG per shot from open play, which offers the insight into how clear-cut a team's chances tend to be on average. Liverpool is the best in the league at the minute, which again captures the focus that seems to be being placed on not shooting unless you're close to goal, basically. But yeah, I just thought it was an important note to make because it's obviously 25 games in now. It's something that I can kind of look at and with a reasonable degree of accuracy say that that's happening.
Yeah, it's once again you just touched on it there about the kind of data-driven decisions, and it's frustrating because we don't know the intricacies of the conversations going on behind closed doors, but we can make calculated guesses at why Liverpool are the kind of leaders in this department, and stuff like this is a great example.
Yeah.
And I think we'll continue to see more of that over the next years as a few other sides catch up. We'll see maybe something similar to what's happened in basketball. With the
shots being refined.
Shots being refined, a lot more taken from I'm right in saying the 3-point line. My basketball terminology understanding is really poor, so I don't want to upset anyone.
It'll be better than mine, believe me. But I've seen the graphic though.
Yeah.
And it's very, very interesting.
Yeah, that it's a lot more shot from certain areas based on data-driven decisions that prove to be more profitable over the game, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see something similar in football. It's going to be really interesting. But again, it's Liverpool who look to be kind of setting the trend and trailblazing.
Yeah, just for a little bit more perspective on the numbers thing. In terms of shooting from outside the box, if there's certain listeners out there that are now thinking, you know, you should shoot from outside the box and it's useful and things like that. The number that I mentioned 2 years ago, obviously Liverpool shot 251 times from outside the box 2 years ago. Only 10 actually found a net. So that's a goal every 25 attempts, roughly, which isn't great.
No.
You obviously want a better conversion rate than that, so try and get closer to goal, and that should improve.
And also as well, you tend to be forfeiting your attack once you do that. It's very rare you'll take a shot from distance and retain the ball.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're wasting possession really a lot of the time. So hence why players such as Coutinho and Bruno Fernandes maybe are deemed as wasteful by some people.
Yeah. So yeah, just on that, it's probably worth flagging that. It'll be interesting to see how United's shots from distance, how they are impacted with Fernandes, who enjoys a fair few, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, just a word on that. He shot 5 times on his debut, which is generally good. All 5 from outside the box.
Yeah, which is generally bad.
Yeah, so
want to
be
watch.
interesting to see how that one goes. I think if he came to Liverpool, put it this way, I think if he came to Liverpool, he'd get that. What's the word? Well, refined again. He'd get that taken out of his game to an extent. But we'll move on anyway. So one interesting topic that I chose to address is Liverpool and overperformance. Those that follow XG and things like that will be aware of this. But for those that aren't, expected points, Liverpool are currently overperforming expected points by about 20, which is crazy. That's astronomical, really. And it's not really a good thing, is it? I mean, I don't know. How would you? No, if you say that overperform by 20 points, it sounds good, doesn't it? But is it?
It's traditionally you'd be looking at that thinking, there's going to be some sort of leveling out of that, of that overperformance. Really, it doesn't seem sustainable.
That's it. Yeah,
traditionally,
that's the word. Yeah. Just for a bit of perspective on that, in Italy, the biggest overperformers are Juventus on 13 points over more than he should. Valencia in Spain by 8. Schalke in Germany by 10, and Marseille in France by 10. So Liverpool obviously by 20 is a bit mad.
Yeah. Man City finished, they overperformed by 7 last season.
What did Liverpool?
13.
See, that's a lot. That's 2 seasons in a row now. Liverpool have overperformed expected points by noticeable levels. And obviously, usually, I mean, do you want to tackle that? Usually, what would you?
So what you'd normally expect that to. You'd be saying the variables have really gone their way.
Bit of a red flag.
Yeah, exactly. So you'd be anticipating that. Maybe not this campaign, but over a prolonged period, that would tend to level out to something more in line with the expected numbers. That's what tends to happen traditionally. Whether it's going to happen with Liverpool, I don't know. I think they're breaking the system a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, the thing is, if that was being done by Newcastle, as it is, Newcastle are currently overperforming. Have you seen that?
Yeah, they are, and Newcastle, I think, will definitely.
Well, that's it. Yeah, that's my point. Newcastle.
They actually will catch up with them.
Yeah, Newcastle are currently overperforming by about 14 points, which again is huge.
Should we just flag though that elite sides tend to overperform, don't they? Because
they've got better than average players.
Yeah, better than average, and this has tended to be an average metric. But it's just the reason we're flagging this is because it's such an overperformance that it just seems bizarre.
Yeah, but the thing is, if Newcastle overperforms at this level, you would be inclined to think something's going in their favour, they're getting good fortune, they're going to be in trouble in a matter of time, sort of thing. With Liverpool, because they're such a data team and things like that, and all the little smart intricacies and things like that, you are inclined to think, aren't you, that something is happening. Something, they're doing something on purpose to be this lucky.
For me, Liverpool have done enough for you to give them the benefit of the doubt that it's something more than luck, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, it's funny because one of Liverpool's data analysts behind the scenes, data scientists, is Tim Wascott, his name is. And I recently watched a lecture of his that he gave on, and when he was introduced, it was about Liverpool as well. When he was introduced, the presenter said something along the lines of, it's this man's job as part of a team to make Liverpool as lucky as possible. That was the way he was introduced. I find that interesting. And rather than delving right into it and assessing every single reason why I think this is happening, I think just pick out maybe the main two for me. You laughing at?
No, I agree. Yeah, I don't want to go too data granular.
No, I don't want to lose heads. I mean, I'll lose my own head. But firstly, anyway, is something called post-shot XG is something I want to address. So expected goals usually is mostly based on everything before the shot is actually hit. So it's mostly based on the location of where the shot's taken. So if the shot's taken from inside the 6-yard box, it's probably going to get a high value. Post-shot expected goals considers things after the shot is hit, such as the power of the shot, the placement of the shot, the trajectory of the shot, maybe the pressure on the ball, and things like that. So if you use post-shot XG, you get a bit of an understanding as to why standard XG is being cheated a little bit, being a little bit deceived. So according to XG, Liverpool have been expected to concede about 22, 23 goals, something like that. And that's based on the shots that they've faced, mostly based on the locations of those shots being close to goal and things like that. City, for example, Manchester City have been expected to concede about 21. And that's based on the same thing. That's based on the locations of where shots are being taken against them, sort of thing. But if you consider post-shot XG, so what happens after the shot's taken, there's a big jump then. There's a big difference. Liverpool dropped down to an expected goals conceded of only 15 compared to City's, who goes up to 23. I think for me that paints a picture.
Yeah, it's I think if you try and put it into what people watch week in, week out watching Liverpool, I think that comes down to what we see in that nobody ever seems to have a clear-cut opportunity in the Liverpool penalty box. It always seems to be compact, and they always seem to be under pressure from Liverpool defenders, which I think forces mistakes or forces them to overthink the finishes. Martial for United against Liverpool comes to mind. Where the City, to me, they quite often seem to get carved open, and players are bestowed time on the ball to basically take the shots on goal. And that would, for me, align with the difference between the XG and the post-shot XG. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, that's absolutely spot on. That's exactly what I was getting at. I think when you break through City and you get a shot against City, it's probably going to be a one-on-one with Ederson. If you get a shot against Liverpool, it's probably going to be with Van Dijk next to you, Fabinho next to you, and all that sort of stuff, and it's going to be from a weird angle and things like that. And if you was to take a shot now, completely free of pressure, it's probably going to be a decent hit.
Yeah.
If you was to take a shot while I'm running at you, closing you down, you might scuff at it. You might lack power or accuracy or that sort of stuff.
Split seconds playing football, we all know, because we've chances are everybody who's listening has played some form of football because they fell in love with the game, and split seconds the difference between a good pass, a good shot, and a bit of a naff, overhit, underhit. You know, and when you're under immense pressure, you do. Sadly, you'll just lash something a little bit quicker, or you'll just. As I said, it's microseconds, but they're the difference at elite level football, and I think this is perfectly underlined that it's not necessarily all luck for Liverpool. There's a reason behind the scene.
Yeah, like I think from the perspective of XG, it will basically be looking at Liverpool and City and seeing Liverpool face shots from similar locations to City. And it'll be looking at Liverpool's attack compared to City's and thinking City's is better, which is true. But
someone's going to pull you on that, I reckon.
Well, according to the XG, at least it's true, and they've actually scored more as well, I think.
Yeah.
But if you was to then delve deeper as to how easy City's shots are to score compared to how easy it is to score against Liverpool, that's where the key difference is, and that's what XG doesn't pick up on, because it doesn't really consider, you know, aspects like that, such as shot placements and power and things like that. So,
and they're huge influences in these moments. You know, sometimes you can get sidetracked and just kind of see it as you look at actually a chance and it's just so basic, but in reality there's so many levels to it, isn't it? And this is a huge one. This is a decisive one in converting these chances.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose what I'm getting at is XG will perceive Liverpool's defence to be on the same level as City's, if not very, very slightly worse, when in reality it's on a different level.
Yeah,
it's a completely different league to City's.
It's got an added facet that proves a lot of the time decisive in these chances being converted or not converted.
Yeah,
simply.
And not only is it,
that's why I'd say it's cheating. It's breaking XG.
Yeah, and not only is it trickier to score, but you've got a better keeper between the sticks, so that if a shot does come, it's going to be even harder for that shot to find the net because the keeper's better as well. So if these things result in you overperforming over time, 20 points is obviously crazy.
As you touched on earlier, 13 last season as well. You know, and what you find with XG, you can't outrun it forever unless there's something more imposing going on, or there's something under the surface that's happening. I'd say that's the case here.
Yeah, I'm just going to go back 2 seasons to see if Liverpool overperformed expected points 2 seasons ago. I'm inclined to think not, but let's have a look. So, no, they didn't. So 2 seasons ago, we underperformed expected points by 4 points. So it's been basically this season and the whole of last season, for that period of time, we are doing something. And that's roughly since Van Dijk and Alisson. Certainly since Alisson arrived, isn't it? Well, yeah, Alisson came last summer.
Yeah, so they both come in for that season. But that was when I think Liverpool also stepped up in just in terms of a unit as a squad, you know, to what they are now.
Yeah, and I think one other aspect on the whole overperformance thing that I want to mention is the concept of game state. Obviously Liverpool, well, I've tried to state on this podcast before that Liverpool tend to change a little bit once a game's won. If Liverpool go 3 goals up or whatever, they're probably going to take the foot off the gas, conserve their energy because of, I don't know, Champions League finals that may end up coming at the end of the season when you'll need that energy.
Yeah, well, they used to have a tendency to, if anything, take a lead and go more aggressive, didn't they? You know, in terms of trying to win the ball back and burying sides. And now I think there's a lot more confidence in seeing a game out. You know, because the defence is better, the keeper's better. They know that they don't really need to go all out to build a 2 or 3 goal lead.
Yeah, but that what you've just said, City do that. City keep going. Yeah. City, if they get 3 up, they'll 1-4, they'll 1-5. They beat Watford earlier in the season 8-0.
Yeah, but that's because
Aston Villa 6-1, I think it was.
Yeah, but that's because City haven't got that defensive solidity to rely on, have they?
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah.
Whereas now Liverpool have got it. I think, like I've said to you, haven't I think Liverpool are one of the best sides I've seen sitting in a low block.
Yeah.
But they don't need to do it because they're so good everywhere else. But if they just had to do that, if they had to build their game on doing that and counter-attacking, they'd be superb at that as well.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. But from the perspective, again, of expected goals, matches maybe look a little bit tighter because around the 60th minute or so, Liverpool stop playing. In essence, it's not always the case, but over the course of 25 matches, it's going to impact your numbers to an extent that City, who are having to do more, in essence, to win a match, are going to look better according to the numbers, but it might not be the case because Liverpool are getting matches won almost in an hour, as opposed to an hour and a half. So these things ultimately result in a big overperformance, obviously, as it's true. I mean, Liverpool obviously suffers from a bit of luck. Well, benefited from a bit of luck. That happens, but as of every team. But I'm of the belief that a lot of Liverpool's luck, seemingly, is almost self-inflicted, and it's to do with subtle little things beneath the surface that even XG, unless you go into post-shot XG, can't really pick up on. So hopefully we haven't completely lost the listeners there, because I appreciate that it goes a bit, bit thorough.
Yeah, no, I think everyone who listens to this tends to appreciate that. It's not really it's something a little bit different to what you get everywhere else, isn't it? And I think it is insightful because it's good to kind of acknowledge what XG and stuff does and how good of an indicator it can be, but also I guess we're acknowledging its limitations and trying to put explanations on that as well. Yeah,
I mean, I don't generally like talking about limitations of XG as much as you do.
Yeah, no.
I usually have a bit more faith in it, I think.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, but in regard to my team,
yeah,
I will. I just have the belief that Liverpool, there's no way that to overperform by 33 points since the start of last season is just pure luck. I just find it hard to believe.
Just on that point, I do really like XG. I just accept that it has got. I acknowledge the limitations a little bit more, and I think it's got a long way to go to beat it. Like I saw someone on Twitter not so long ago saying, wouldn't it be interesting if we swapped XG for goal difference in terms of league positions? And I was like, it's just nowhere near that level yet. It's still got too many flaws, but it's still a really good performance indicator.
Yeah, a couple of years ago I suggested that we look at the XG rather than going to a penalty shootout. We'll get there one day. But we'll go on to something now anyway, new topic on something that everyone will have an opinion on. Player of the year. Obviously it's a bit early, but it's a winter break, I think they're calling it. It's a bit of a talking point at the minute, so I think they're in the running for Liverpool at least would be Henderson, Trent, Mane, Virgil, Salah and Alisson for me. So firstly, who would be yours according to purely analysis and the numbers, and who's maybe an outlier and who's doing things that you think is deserving of the player of the year or whatever? I haven't looked at Dave's stuff, by the way. No, he hasn't looked at mine.
For me, it's I don't know if this is going to be an unpopular one. I don't think it would have been a couple of months ago, but maybe now. But for me, it's Sadio Mane, definitely. Okay. I think he's been at times, certainly this season, but even back in the last season, I think he's been unplayable. And he's the one that I think Klopp has been quite reliant on. I think about like the Everton game where he was the league meeting where he had to make changes to freshen the side up, but it felt like with Mane in there, he was still extremely dangerous and heavy favourites. And I also think he's scored some huge goals this season, winning goals. He scored in the 2-1 win at Palace, the late one at Villa.
Southampton.
Yeah, Southampton. He won the penalty against Leicester. He scored in that game as well. He scored both games in the Super Cup final. I think he scored 2 in that game where Liverpool won 3-1 against Newcastle. He scored 2 in that one at Anfield.
Yeah, I think so.
I just think he's been huge. I think he only stands at 5'9", but he's really difficult to push off the ball. He's a fantastic dribbler. I think his heading is really underrated. He's
2-footed.
Yeah, I'm sure he's in the top 4 for the most headed shots in the Premier League this season.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me, to be honest.
Which is really interesting. For me, I think he's just a fantastic player, and I'd probably go with him.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely wouldn't argue against that. But an alternative player that I've looked at. First of all, I'd just like to say that, like, in terms of your player of the year, there will always be a split as to whether people judge based on the actual performance of the player in that season, or the performance of the player relative to what you would deem to be his own standard. See what I mean? Hence why Messi just stopped winning Ballon d'Ors when he was still clearly unbelievable. Hence why Van Dijk might not win it this year, because he was so unbelievable last year. Same with Salah, people come to expect a certain level from you, and if you don't keep getting better and better and better, then it'll probably go to someone else just because someone else does it.
Well, there's no longer the surprise there, is there? Though there's lofty standards that you just can't meet. I agree.
Yeah, but if you look at a season in isolation, I think the answer will usually be a bit different. But one player I've used the numbers to capture as certainly should be well within him with a shout would be Trent. I think he'll win the young player comfortably. But one of the reasons he'd be up there for me is just because he's just completely unlike any other fullback out there. Obviously, I tackled this a couple of episodes ago just to capture, and I did a Twitter thread on it as well, just the crosses he hits, the long passes he hits, I think passes into the final third and things like that. He's got 10 assists currently in the Premier League this season. The closest fullback to him has got 6, and that's Andy Robertson. I think he's 21, is he?
I'm just going to check, because last time we did this, got it wrong. Yeah, so he's 21.
Yeah.
21, wow.
Obviously, this feels at least like his first full season from the off as a starter, whereby he's physically developed enough to play virtually every match. And he's the closest thing, I've said this before, he's the closest thing Klopp's had to a playmaker, I think. And he's just doing things as a fullback that fullbacks have never done before in the Premier League. To an extent that he shows up as a unique player who, for me, should be in with a shout of Player of the Year. Whether he'll win it or not is another story.
I think he'd, because I was guilty of it myself, I think if he was bought in the last 18 months and he was 24, 25, I think he'd be a more legitimate shout. But I think people probably accept that he'll get the young Player of the Year, and maybe his time will come in that regard in terms of getting more individual accolades. Yeah. But I just want to echo everything you said on him, because I think he's so unique. We tried to think of similar players, didn't we, a few months back, and I can't think of one.
In the Premier League, or
no, just in general, like people saying like Philip Lahm and stuff, and
no, the player that showed up closest to me, certainly based on the numbers at least, was Joshua Kimmich from Bayern. Yeah. But other than that, there wasn't many at all that had the outputs that he did offensively as a fullback. It was just I've posted a few passing networks on my Twitter this season, and they're so elaborate. They're like, the player comes to mind is David Beckham. His passing range, but from a right back position. I think Beckham would actually be a right back in the modern day. But
yeah, I agree.
So anyway, who would yours be then? Once also considering the intangible aspects and all those things
away from the data.
Yeah.
I still wouldn't change my choice, but I will give a nod to Henderson.
Okay.
Because clearly that's what it's there for.
I understand why he's in with a shout. He's currently actually the bookies' favourite.
Yeah,
at the minute.
I actually think he might win it.
It wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't.
What I will say with Henderson, because I've said it before, is I think Henderson is a top 4 player in the Premier League. I think he's a good player. He's a fantastic all-rounder. I thought it was really underrated how well he done in number 6 while Fabinho was gone, because everyone expected that to be a huge loss, and not that it was a slant on him, but he wasn't really missed. So I think he's been great. I think what's really impressed me most about Henderson though is, for me, maybe 2 years ago he could have exited and joined like a top 8 side and kind of been their best player, and that would have been his level maybe. But as Liverpool have progressed as a club from like a good side to the elite side they are now, he's managed to maintain the pace with that. He's managed to remain the captain and a leader within a side of utterly elite players, and he's obviously got their respect as well. Like Van Dijk, for me, he's a natural leader. He's still in that dressing room, Henderson is still being another leader with someone like that in the dressing room. So taking all that into consideration, I can understand why he's being involved in the conversation.
Yeah, so can I. I think when you've got a team that is such a team, and the contributions and the responsibilities are shared throughout the 11, I do think that, and that's the case at Liverpool at the minute. Obviously, the amount of players I've just named then that are in with a shout that all wear red. I think Henderson is probably a very appropriate symbol of the team and what the Reds represent under Jurgen Klopp and in the modern day. Really, he's absolutely relentless, aggressive. He seems to have completely overcame his injury issues. He's been available for, I think I'm right in saying, 100% of the season. And obviously he's got challenges around him for his place in the team that he's just managed to just consistently keep out. He's kept his place fully. Yeah. Obviously operated as a number 8 and a number 6. His offensive contributions for me this season have improved. He has had more of a threat on the ball. Just think of the Salah goal from the weekend against Southampton. The Club World Cup final against Flamengo, I think he set up the goal for that. Bournemouth away, the first goal over the top to Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, he set that one up. He definitely has actually improved in terms of his threat, how dangerous he is on the ball. But I think most of all, just as that symbol of what Liverpool have become, and just, as I said, relentless, hard work, just persistent, non-stop sort of thing. No complacency at all. And considering a couple of years ago he was on his way out almost to Fulham. Yeah. And in the space of a year, he's going to lift the Club World Cup, the Super Cup, the Premier League and the Champions League.
As captain.
As captain. He is a symbol of what Liverpool have came to be. So I wouldn't have much of an issue, to be honest, if he did win it. Yeah. Obviously, from a data perspective, others show up a bit higher.
Yeah, there's better candidates, but...
Yeah, I understand why he would be in with a shout, and I'd expect him fully to actually win the Football Writers Award, I think. Because I think he's that kind of person, isn't he, to win that sort of award. But in terms of being voted for by your peers, maybe Mane will win it. But we'll see anyway. Possibly De Bruyne as well, throwing De Bruyne, but this is Liverpool's show, so...
Yeah, I do think the narrative of a side can sometimes impact that, and I think with City being the way they've been this year, he won't look as attractive.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
But we'll leave it there anyway. So tune in next week. Dave's joining us from San Francisco. He's having a well-deserved week off, so I'll be back with the OG Christian Walsh to look ahead to Norwich, and we'll see what else we can talk about, maybe a Q&A. But thanks for joining us, Dave.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
And we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.